This is number 20, I believe, folks. And this has to do with not a performance I was in, but a performance I heard. When I first started freelancing in Boston, one of the regular players with the Boston Symphony was Joe Orosz, who would always play principal with the Boston Pops. And quite often I played bass with him and second. And I also saw him many times after he retired. He played with Sarah Caldwell. And Joe was a remarkable man and for his day, a very fine player. And he was particularly proud of all of his Bolero performances. He played, I mentioned before that Bolero was considered back then, in the 60s and so forth, to be a challenging solo for the first trombone player. It's very high. And Joe would tell you at the drop of a hat, you'd be introduced to him, and he would say to you, without so much as an introduction, did you know that I've played Bolero over 60 times? And, and he was very proud of it. In fact, that happened to me. I saw this happen once behind stage at the Opera Company. He came up to Tom Everett, the legendary bass trombone player and conductor of the Harvard Band, and said to Tom, without so much as a, hi, how do you do? Did you know that I played Bolero more than 60 times? And Tom Everett looked him straight in the eye and said, well, gosh, I've played it maybe, 300 times. And Joe looked at him and said, where have you played Bolero 350 times? And Tom said, well, gosh, I did it twice this morning during my warm-up. And, and Joe just walked away, At any rate, I was listening to a Pop's Bolero performance one night on the radio. And of course, the solo goes da 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 da. It's a wonderful solo. It's one of those two big melodies that Ravel orchestrates so brilliantly. At any rate, here's what I heard: da. Nothing after that. Dum da 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 dum. The orchestra's flailing away, and there's no trombone solo. And I didn't hear it every come back in. And I saw Paul Gay, who was playing second for that particular concert, a couple of days later, and I said, Paul, I was listening to Bolero, and he burst into laughter. He said, well, let me tell you what happened. Of course, on trombones, there's a slide lock. It's right here. It locks the slide. So your slide can't drop when you're out of control. You can bang it and so forth. So Paul had always sat beside Joe and had always been ready to play in case Joe forgot to come in. But Joe played that first lovely high B flat. And then, because the slide was locked, he jerked the horn away from his lips. And Paul started laughing so hard, but Joe stands up and starts waving to Fiedler. He wants Fiedler to go back and give him a second chance. And Fiedler's going, conducting away, And we never got to hear the solo, So that's one that probably Joe wasn't very proud of.